Madam Vice President.
I had to wash my pearl necklace off before the show. Terribly sorry.
He did, and we appreciate that. This is a kid show. A kid show, Samir.
Oh, please.
But hey, guys, good day. It's a really, really good day. We are happy to be here. There's a lot of really good things going on today, so thank you for joining us. I was definitely watching TV all of this morning, but I'm here now, here for a talk. And we are...
Crystal was wearing her pearls and chucks today, too. That was nice.
Yeah, I was telling Samir that I if I was leaving the house, I'd put on chucks, but it takes a lot for me to get out of my sweatpants and slippers at this point, especially since most of the things I do now with this talk, you only see waist up. So got some Adidas sweatpants.
I should point out that Amy's objection seems more rooted in the fact that the only part of the outfit that needs to be accurate is the part that's seen on camera. And there's no point in putting on some other part that no one will see. And she refuses to put on a full-on pantsuit today.
I'll put on makeup. I did my hair.
She did do her hair, and it looks lovely.
Thank you.
Are those your grandma's pearls?
These are my on my dad's side of the family. My Mimi, she died when I was like a year and a half. I believe I was the last grandchild that was born before she died. So there are some photos of me with her when I was, like a year and a half or so. Yeah, but my Aunt Julia, who of course is one of our Patreon members, she gave me these pearls. She was the youngest daughter, so she ended up getting like a lot of my grandma's things. And I sent her a photo, and she actually lives in DC and wishes that she could have actually been at the inauguration, but of course everything was closed off. So I sent her a photo. I said, "I'm wearing Mimi's pearls for Commandant today," and she liked it.
Yeah, I agree, Luke. It is an incredible day. And on top of everything, Amy's Instagram is back, as he's reminding us again.
Let's talk about the real
you've already got
issue.
Celebrities coming back to like your cat videos.
It's been a good week for America. That's all I can say. Good week for America.
A reason to hope. It's been a while, so who knows how much longer we'll be doing Quarantine Network, because it's probably still going to be a while before we're all able to go back to
We're planning at least 3 months at this point. Actually, no, let's say at least up to the Oscars. The Oscars are the end of April. So I'm saying a good safe bet is through April for us doing this.
Probably at least. It might even be longer, because I have a feeling that just the way things are rolling out, it may be a little longer before everybody can go back out and we can fill up movie theaters again. And then who knows, maybe we'll just keep a version of this show that'll be like a weekly thing after that, just for funsies or something.
That sounds fun. Speaking of fun, let's go into today's little program here. So first, we're going to be talking about our after the movie discussion of The Cobweb. We talked about Vincent Minnelli yesterday, and once we're done with this, we will move on to Anya Taylor-Joy, the main event for the day. So I hadn't seen this before, and I've got to say, not my favorite Vincent Minnelli film that I've seen.
But you have only seen musical comedies.
I mean,
you also have not watched any of his dramas.
I went in already biased because it's not a musical.
So you need to not do that, Amy. You need to be better film student and movie watch. You can't go in expecting a twisted drama to be like Meet Me in St. Louis. It's never going to be that. So you're already going in with a filter that's not going to let you watch the film that's before you, that's the reason I say to let those things go, is because if you're watching it with those expectations or that bias, you're not really seeing the film that's in front of you. So you need to let that go and take a film on its own merits and really just engage with that. Because it's going to be hard for you to watch any of his other work. Like Some Came Running will be boring to you too if you're still thinking Meet Me in St. Louis. You're going to get a movie that is not happy, that does not have a hopeful ending. You know, like these are all aspects of an artist. Like if he made nothing but ice cream, like you'd be like, okay, well, ice cream's great, but you know, when I want something more substantial, I'll go over here. Um, I mean, obviously his musicals are like, there's a depth to those musicals that isn't in a lot of other musicals. So you get to see that macabre depth, that sort of simmering underneath the gleefulness and the color, the bright, cheerful colors of those movies. And these dramas are where he's sort of taking that aspect and bringing that up and then decreasing the sort of lighthearted effects of the film. So this is like, it's a really sad movie because I mean, I feel like the person you feel the most for is Gloria Graham and John Kerr. I think John Kerr is amazing in this movie. He's just such an intuitive, sensitive actor that you just sort of instinctively feel for him. Like he just has the best sad face of the boy. You know, he's very much like obviously a James Dean. Like, oh, James Dean's popular. Who's someone like James? This guy. But, you know, he's legitimately good on his own. This was his first film. He would make another movie with Vincent Minnelli after this, the movie Tea and Sympathy. And he actually had originated the stage role in that for that play and then was brought over to make that film with Vincent Minnelli, which was interesting because that play was directed by Elia Kazan. So he went from being directed by Elia Kazan in Tea and Sympathy to being directed by Vincent Minnelli in Tea and Sympathy, like in the same year. Interesting. But this was the first time we saw John Kerr on screen, and he had come from Broadway. I thought Gloria Graham's role, like I felt like basically this is like a whole story of miscommunication of people incapable of communicating efficiently with each other. And so I feel like she's kind of more of a victim of this story than a lot of the other people because she's treated pretty horribly by her husband, like who can't even be bothered to say, yes, I think you're pretty. When she's like, right now, can you give me one thing? Like, say one nice thing to me. Can you say that you desire me? And he just doesn't say anything. I'm like, dude, like, do you have to, like, why are you kicking her when she's down? She's obviously like very distraught. But the part that, oh my God, that one part that really hit me hard was when she's trying to tell him, she's like, I've been trying to talk to you. And she's like, and she's talking about their daughter. She's like, yeah, you know what? They had a day at school today and all the kids had to say what they wanted to be. Do you know what she said she wanted to be? A patient. Because the patients are the only people who get his time. So she's like, oh, well, I want to be something that, you know, like the message was very clear and it was like, yeah, buddy, you fucked up. But it's like, that's the thing that kind of gets through to him. But then he still tries to start a relationship with Lauren Bacall. And even Lauren Bacall is like, look, I'm not ready for the level of relationship that you, I'm not here to solve your problems.
Healing tragedy.
You know, like, I don't like you enough to like, just accept anything. Like, so you need to go back to your wife. You need to work shit out with her.
Yeah.
I love that, those aspects. Like, they didn't give anybody like, oh, you know, they fell in love, so they're going to go off. And, you know, Gloria Graham's all weird anyways. Who cares what happens to her? She'll just end up in the asylum. I feel like some lesser directors would have probably gone that route. Like, oh, he found love. They would have made Gloria Graham more crazy and then had him run off with Lauren Bacall and then have the twisted ending be Gloria Graham in a hydrotherapy room like Oscar Levant is. I forgot what the song was, but that's one of the most bizarre things I have ever seen in a Vincent Minnelli movie is Oscar Levant in a hydrotherapy bath, refusing to get out and then singing at the top of his lungs, all alone in that room. And I was just like, okay, this is officially a bizarre film.
I think the all the women in this were the standouts to me. Just all their performances were so great, especially Lillian Gish, who is not playing a likable character. But I was just even like while I was sitting there, I was just kind of reminding myself of even like at this point in the 50s, like she already had been acting for like over 40 years, going all the way back to The Birth of a Nation. And I just hope that she didn't share D.W. Griffith's political views.
She did not.
Good. Did not. But it was just, I don't know. I just thought that was fun just to see someone who successfully made the transition from silent films, probably due to the fact that she actually is a good actress and her voice isn't annoying, which ended the career of many silent actors.
She was just in The Night of the Hunter, I think, the year before this. So she had started acting, I think, more regularly in films after those pictures. But it was amazing to see her because this is something totally different. First of all, you don't really see her in color films that much
Mm-hmm.
up to that point. Even Night of the Hunter was filmed in black and white. And like, her character is just so disagreeable, but you also get the sense like, she is someone who is actually very good at her job. And obviously has done this for a long time. But you get the sense, like, I just loved her name. Something about her name by itself is instantly sort of, it's not disagreeable, but it sort of the name even kind of rubs you the wrong way. Like, it gives you a feeling of disturbance in a way. It just doesn't sound like somebody who was a happy person somehow. But her penmanship was beautiful, and the signature on that horrible report she tried to ruin someone's career with.
Yeah.
Like, she had one of those classic Lillian Gish moments at the very end when the Charles Boyer gives his letter of resignation, and they're wordlessly communicating as the board is reading out this letter, and he's looking kind of like wistfully sad at her, and you see her, like, her whole face starts to spasm, almost like she's trying to hold back sobs, and the only thing is you see is the little like wiggle of her chin and her frown. Like, you just can, like, and you can see her eyes getting moist in that shot. I'm like, damn, she is such a pro actor. I don't even know, they probably didn't even need that many takes. She probably could do that over and over and over again, however Vincent Minnelli wanted it.
And she acted almost to the end of her life.
Yeah, her last film was with Bette Davis. I think it was called The Whales of August. It was like in the late 80s.
Career. Just,
she lived and worked.
Good day on her at some point.
Oh, definitely. There's a lot to talk about with her because there's so many movies. But I love his use of color in this movie. There's so many moments where there's always a color that just sort of, in the dramas especially, not so much in the musicals, but in the dramas, there's always items that stick out. Like, their color makes them stand out in relief against everything else. So it's like, I'm just still blown away by the use of widescreen space in this movie. Like, so many angles and planes fit into one frame and they never feel overly cluttered or overwhelming, but there's so much story packed into all those frames. And like, the two shots that I was talking about before was the shot of the library where there's about 15 people in the room. And then there's another shot later where it's like everyone's going into a meeting and there's like a whole hallway full of people. And it's like the widescreen space is used so you can like get everything from here to here, but you can see all of these people stretched out all across the frame, moving back and forth. So there's all this kind of activity where the depth and the width of the screen is used to tell the story. Even one of the first images that like tells you you're in a different Vincent Minnelli story is when they're trying to get that one guy to come out of his room, and they're like he's Mr. Holcomb's not coming out, and then they cut to a shot inside, and it's like this disturbed shot of like this guy's bloody hand clutching the mattress, and his eyes are all bugged out. And like, I actually paused that image because I was like, let's just, like, to tell my friends, I'm like, let's just look at like the story being told in this one frame. You get the eyes, you get the clutched hand, the blood. So basically the performer and the makeup is already giving you the story of this person in a very odd state of distress. And then you look at the frame behind him and you see the disheveled items behind him. You see the broken mirror hanging like sideways that's been smashed right in the center. So obviously you're getting this story like, oh, like in anger, he punched this mirror. What made him angry? And everyone is trying to figure that out. So it totally puts you into that, the milieu really effectively. Like, okay, something's fucked up in this asylum. It looks very posh, but clearly something is wrong. But I also loved Lauren Bacall's apartment when she finally cleans it up. There's that great shot of when you see the two of them. It's a two shot of them each sitting in these chairs that she's made, which I do want one of those chairs. That chair looked pretty awesome because when she finished decorating her place, I was like, damn, okay, she does chart. This is beautiful.
It was coming together.
That shot also was like that really hypnotizing shot of the white brick walled corner that like somehow the angle when he moves the way he moves the camera over to reframe that shot, it almost flattens that corner out. So there's this visual illusion happening there where he's sitting. And then on the opposite side of the frame, you see the empty bed through the doorway lurking on the other in her bedroom. and a light perfectly situated over it, lighting it. So in the depth and the far left of the screen, you're getting this image that's like, okay, this is telling you there's an invitation visually. He wants to go into there. That bed is calling to him. He wants to go to bed with her. And then, of course, they kiss at the end of that moment. So it's like visually you're being led up to it. And then when he leaves, they go back to that two shot of them sitting in the chairs, and the chair is now empty. And somehow the emptiness of that chair in this big widescreen shot when it was filled by people, instantly the emptiness of that chair and the emptiness of her life sort of like coalesce in that moment. There's just so many uses like that all the way through that it's like really like underpinning and underlining and underscoring everything that's going on with these characters. So there's like so much to unpack with this movie when you really dig into it. Like there's so much that Vincent Minnelli is doing, like, and it's so casually and effortlessly woven into this story. So if you do get on the Vincent Minnelli drama train and you do get to Some Came Running eventually, that movie is like his grand masterpiece of widescreen color filmmaking. Like so much use of the frame is happening to tell that story. And really, when you compare it to other people's widescreen movies, there's a greater sense of urgency with his dramas, I think, and something genuinely his own. I don't know. I'm a big fan of these movies. Like I think Walter mentioned he had loved Lust for Life as when he was younger. You know, that would be the obvious like one that everyone would choose would be Lust for Life. It's readily available. It won Oscars. Kirk Douglas is playing Vincent van Gogh. There's all these things that bring you to that, but I thought it would be really nice to highlight the first time he worked in this medium, in this format. And already in this first movie, there's just a mastery of visual space and widescreen framing and color usage to tell a dramatic story. And nobody thought that he could. It was maybe that's why it was weird for you too, because when you come into a color Minnelli film, I mean, everyone's memory is going to go back to something like Meet Me in St. Louis, or I think you've seen The Pirate, right?
Yeah. Remember, I just got it.
You know, those like really vivid, fun movies. You know, so I can understand the disconnect when you like start watching this. It's like, oh, look at the bold colors. Oh.
Yeah, and again, I did like it. It just, you know, I wouldn't put this out of all the Vincent Minnelli films I have seen, which has been not nearly as many as you have. I would just like.
Which ones have you seen?
Have I seen his musicals?
Yeah, which ones? Well, I know, but which musicals? Which of them? Like all of them, or?
I'd have to look. I don't think every single one, but I mean, I've seen The Bandwagon. I've seen Meet Me in St. Louis. I've seen The Pirate. I've seen American in Paris, Gigi. Those are just the ones off the top of my head, but I have to look back through. But I know there's other ones that he's done that I still want to see, like In the Good Old Summertime and things like that. More Judy Garland films that I haven't seen, but and there are other melodramas that he did that, of course, really want to see, including the one I talked about yesterday, The Clock with Judy Garland, which is on TCM.
That was not so much a melodrama; it's a cute romantic film. It's not melodrama at all. Like, definitely not like these movies. That one is cheerful and fun and sweet. You know, it's a really sweet film. It's just bittersweet because, you know, it's the person is a soldier and, you know, they're not gonna be there forever. You know, like there's a time limit at the end of that movie. It's like he has to get to the train station or whatever. He knows that he's leaving at this time. They know they only have this amount of time together.
It's like before sunrise.
And then they make something magical out of that time together. And it's like a really beautiful little movie. He really, like, melodrama wise, I think it starts with Bad and the Beautiful. I think that's kind of where the melodrama starts. But there's also like a few other musicals in the 50s in this period that he was still doing them. They weren't at least until he got to Gigi, they weren't getting as great reviews as maybe his other musicals did. There's like Kismet and, you know, stuff like that people don't automatically think of when you think Vincent Minnelli musical. But there's a lot of interesting things in those too, if you still like his musicals. But I was really blown away by his turn to melodrama. So I think this one is definitely a masterful introduction to his widescreen CinemaScope filmmaking period. Unfortunately, the end of his career was not quite as lauded or good as these. Like the last movie he made, I think it's called A Matter of Time. It's just like one of the most savaged, probably the most savagely reviewed film he ever made. And they're like, well, he used to have it, and we don't know what happened. The only thing I'm really pissed at these days is that now his old house, which was abandoned, I told you about his house, right? How like the house that he had in Hollywood, or like Beverly Hills, it was in Beverly Hills, and there was this drama about like it was left to Liza, and Liza was supposed to let Vincent Minnelli's last wife continue living there until she died, and then Liza sold the house and said like, and it was originally going to be like, okay, well, I'll buy you like a really fabulous beach condo or something, and and that woman was like, no, I'd really rather stay in the mansion that my husband left me, you know, where I live and all the servants know me, and there was this big drama about that, and so then Liza Minnelli made this deal so that the owners could just keep, basically Liza Minnelli would pay the rent to the current owners that she sold the house to until this woman passed away, and then they wouldn't be able to move in until after that, and there would be no more discussion of it. So she paid for her stepmother, I guess you would call her, to live there until she died, and then the owners just never inhabited the house, so it just sat there with all of the custom decorated Vincent Minnelli pieces that he designed, the interior of this house. All of his things were just left in there. Nobody took anything out. All this, like almost nothing. There was tons of furniture, art, like random posters, records, all these things there. And then one person, it was like one YouTuber, did that thing where it's like, oh, we're going through abandoned houses. Like, oh, look, this is some Hollywood director's house. Let's see what, like, they didn't know who really know much. Like, oh, he was famous because he made this movie. Like, they knew nothing about him. So they made this video going through all the house. And then, of course, everyone else had to copy that person who did that. So then there was like a dozen other like adventurers whose YouTube channels are all about basically just walking around rotted buildings and being like, look at this shit. And somehow these people call it a career, but that's what it is. But because so many people did those videos, now the owners have finally like started renovating the house, and now it's cleaned out and fixed up, and they're going to either live in it or sell it off. But like for a long time, all of this stuff of Vincent Miller's was just sitting in his house. So there was like these custom designed chairs that were just sitting there. So many things that you could have just like, you know what? I want one of his records.
Well, no, I'm glad they didn't steal stuff. I hope they didn't, and hopefully.
No, I don't think they did, because they were videotaping themselves walking through the house. So what could they do? But now you can't go and look at it anymore and see the remnants, because all those people did it so many times that the owners finally had to start fixing it. So that was a big bummer. Unfortunately, we will not be able to see the remnants of Vincent Minnelli's house. None of Liza's old little girl dresses were left in there anyways, but there was still some like unique things of his that were just there that, you know, we could have you could have done so much with that. You could have made a whole movie in that abandoned house.
Maybe things were donated to the new Academy Museum. Who knows? Maybe some of his stuff will pop up.
Doubtful. Oh wow, that was Minnelli's time.
Anyway, but see the Cobweb. It's available on the Criterion app. Definitely worth watching. Yeah.
It's only available till the end of this month, though. It's coming off the app.
Ooh, so we've the clock is ticking.
But today is available almost everywhere, so.
And if you have HBO Max, it's available for free. Technically, you're still today's Woman Crush Wednesday is one of my new favorites, and I think she is becoming a favorite for a lot of people in the last like 5 years or so. And that is the lovely Anya Taylor-Joy. And she's another person that, you know, it's like, is she even capable of taking a bad photo? My God. Yeah, I mean, clearly, I can't think of anyone else who looks remotely like her. I mean, people made fun of Emma Stone for having big eyes. I mean, God, her eyes are
but Emma Stone's features aren't quite as unique as this young woman's.
Like, they're both beautiful, absolutely.
They are both beautiful. I feel like Anya Taylor-Joy definitely has. If you're gonna, like rank the distinctiveness of their looks, I feel like this young woman has a very distinctive look all her own. But like like the fact that this is the picture of the girl from The Witch, like, is pretty crazy because you would think that with such a distinctive look, it would be hard to fit into all these different types of characters because it's like, oh, you can't, like, as if it's difficult to visualize her very distinctive look in a character, but she's fit into so much, almost chameleon-like with this very distinctive look because you see her in the Queen's Gambit, and it's like a totally different person than the person you saw in The Witch, and then you see this picture and you're like, what angel are you playing on stage today?
Yeah. So she, as Chris was just saying, she does have a very diverse ethnic background. She is quite the mutt. Her mom is English and Spanish, and her dad is Scottish and Argentinian. So really like a big mix there, but she was born in Florida, in Miami, Florida, April 16th, 1996. She's such a young person. Anyone younger than me, I'm just instantly jealous of like their career. Like, I'm old and you're young and you're successful and I'm still trying. But she actually first was growing up in Argentina. Her first language was Spanish, which she spoke for several years, and then they moved to the U.S. And she was like, as a kid, was so upset that they moved to the U.S. And she, sorry, I'm reading comments. You're too young.
I am too.
I'm old. I'm old. I'm 30. I'm falling apart. I guess she like refused to learn English or speak English because she was just like, if I don't speak English, then we're going to have to go back to Argentina. Eventually got over that though. And I wonder how fluent she still is in Spanish, because that would be fun to see her speak Spanish in a film. She was discovered. She has a triple citizenship with Argentina, the U.S., and England. When she was in England, when she was a teenager, she was discovered by a talent scout to be a model. So she did that for a little while, and then eventually that turned into acting. Her first film was actually in 2014, Vampire Academy, but her scene was cut from the finished film. So with that, her first film that we saw her in was The Witch in 2015. And that is, I like that movie. Samir has mixed feelings about that movie. I really like it. And she was one of the many standouts in that film for me. I'm just like, who is this actress? She's so good. I mean, I know you don't like The Witch, but can you admit that she was good?
Oh, no, she was good. She was definitely good. I just don't like that movie. But I loved her, and I thought she was. I mean, you were absolutely right. It was like a star-making turn. It's weird to have that movie be your star-making turn, but it really was. Like, everybody took notice of her from that movie more than anyone else. Even though those weird twins that looked like they were 30-year-old little people playing children, and someone told me they actually were kids. I'm like, oh, that doesn't make sense at all in my brain, but okay. But she was the one that, like, I mean, the movie rests on her. That movie rests on her shoulders. So I loved her performance. I didn't love the film, but if you loved the film, I feel like that was contingent on her performance being as effective as it was for the movie to have as much effect as it did. But like I said, like, you would never imagine that this is a picture of the same person from that movie sometimes, because my image of that is like, very dreary, dark and gray and dirty and, like not ethereal and otherworldly like this image is. Then, like I said, like her Queen's Gambit haircut is like so drastic that it threw me off. For a second, I didn't even know that was her in that show. When I saw the trailer,
many hair colors. I've seen her blonde. I've seen her as a redhead. I've seen her as a brunette. Again, she could just do it all. It sounds like, like one of her upcoming projects is going to be a prequel to Mad Max Fury Road as Furiosa, which maybe she'll have a shaved head for that one, maybe not, but I'm sure no matter what she does, she is just going to look absolutely fabulous.
She's
But
also in
she
an upcoming Edgar Wright film, I think, too.
thinks
Like
so.
a
She has a
legit
lot
horror
of.
film.
She's probably the most in demand actress right now, as far as just, I mean, and well deserved, because she is just so talented. Some of her other big films, and then she had been in TV shows too. Atlantis, The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, which I haven't watched yet. She was on the most recent season of Peaky Blinders, which is the one season I haven't watched, and I just found out somewhat recently she was in it. I was like, now I have to watch it, even though I did enjoy the show too. But and then, of course, The Queen's Gambit on Netflix, which is just amazing. And that's, I think, it's been out for a few months now. I think it's still one of the top 10 things on Netflix US right now. But her other film roles include being in Split and Glass, those being more like career-defining moments for her as far as her acting goes. Some more independent films too, like Thoroughbreds, which came out in 2017. I do recommend that. Yeah, but she just has like, oh, I'm just so excited to see the things that she's coming out with. I mean, just right now on her IMDb, she has 2 things in post-production, currently filming an untitled David O. Russell project, and then 2 things in pre-production. And but I mean, she's only 24 and she already has 28 acting credits.
Good for her.
They're all pretty good. They're all pretty good things that she has been in. Yeah, so I don't know. I love her. I really love her. I want to be her. She's still modeling too. I follow her on Instagram, and I saw that she's the face of the new Victor and Rolf Love Bomb. It's my favorite perfume. Why am I freaking out?
I don't know what your favorite perfume is, girl.
Is it Love Bomb? Why am I spacing out? Love Bomb.
You didn't buy it just because she was in
Flower
the
Bomb. Right? Jesus, Flower Bomb. It is my favorite perfume, but there's a like new version of Flower Bomb which I want to get because I both like the original perfume and the fact that she's the face of it. Advertising like that will work on me, because if it's good enough for her, even though they're paying her exorbitant amounts of money, it's good enough for me. I love her. Everything I see her in, she has become one of those actors where she is the selling factor to me. Like no matter what she will be in, just like yeah. Oh, and speaking of, Andres mentioned something about Disney. Apparently, she was offered some sort of Disney Channel thing while she was filming The Witch, and it sounds like she was somewhat interested, but it was going to conflict with finishing The Witch, and so she ended up turning that down, which was probably the better move.
Choice. I wonder if there was how many people, if she had to be told not to do it, or if she thought about it, or if her agent was like, stick with the film you're working on. Trust me.
Disney.
It's also like you're already making a movie, you know, it's like, I don't know how you maintain a career in film if on your first real film project that you're going to be in, if you decide to leave in the middle of filming because Disney wanted you for something. It's like, okay, well, get used to a future of only ever being cast by Disney, maybe, because that will be a reputation. People will remember that, like, oh, well, she left this production high and dry, and they had to scramble to finish it without her. I mean, also, she was so integral to that movie. I'm like,
yeah,
I don't feel like she would have ever entertained the thought of leaving that production.
And it was a Disney Channel series.
And it's like, you know, like, think of the most famous Disney Channel.
I would love if someone came to me and was like, hey, we're going to put you in a Disney Channel series. I'd be like, cool. But for her to actually like think of, I mean, I don't know. She made the right choice.
She did make the right choice. It's like, it's just like, it's bizarre that Disney would have expected her to leave in the middle of a production to make their show. I'm like, really, guys, you can't wait? You can't wait till she's done with this shoot? It's not like they have a fortune. They don't have that much more time. Yeah. Anyways, you could have waited and let her have her show after. But I'm glad that she didn't do it even do that afterwards, because I don't really, it would be a shame to see her become like a Hannah Montana kind of, or what's the other one with Hilary Duff? Lizzie McGuire. It's like I feel like that she's never gonna live up to her potential doing those kinds of things. So very, very heartening that she stuck to the film she was already filming and finished that instead of just bouncing for a bigger paycheck from Disney. That gets her major points.
That was Mia Wasikowska, Luke, for Crimson.
It was Mia Wasikowska in Crimson Peak.
Wasikowska. I love her.
Well, it would be like Wasikowska.
And I actually love Crimson Peak, even though it's not the best movie, but I still just love it.
Visually, it's fun, yes.
Oh, and all the Hitchcock elements. Anyway. Yeah, but Anya Taylor-Joy is just fabulous, and we picked one of her films where, she is the lead, she is the title character, and it's one that came out this last year, Emma. Now, Emma, of course, has been retold many times. Some people remember the late 90s Gwyneth Paltrow version, which I also enjoy. I'm a fan of, well, I don't like it. Samir thinks that the best adaptation of Emma is Clueless, which, it's a great adaptation, to be sure. And I love Clueless, but it's not like Emma, though. If you watch Jane Austen films for the Jane Austen,
or if you read Jane Austen books, you'll realize that Clueless is Emma. It is the exact story, just transposed to Beverly Hills in the 90s. Like that is what that story is. But Amy, you froze. Am I froze or are you froze?
Andres, can we just blow your mind?
Yes, Anders, Clueless is an adaptation of Emma. But see, a lot of people they just don't think about it. But when you literally read the book Emma and watch the movie Clueless, every single plot point is there. Like all the major plot points, all the character details of the character are present in that character. It is an adaptation, it's just done differently. But that one's the one I thought that of definitely more than the Gwyneth Paltrow one, just did not feel like a Jane Austen story at all. Just like I did not like that one. But I also don't really like Gwyneth Paltrow that much, so that didn't help. But
see, there we
this
go.
one I felt
and I like Gwyneth Paltrow. So.
Yeah, this one, I have never seen this version of it. Like, it looks very pretty. I love the aesthetics of this poster. And I can't tell who the actors are, but they're clearly not as important as
her. Well, I don't know.
Hello?
Why isn't this, my internet is being weird? I hope I don't cut out.
I know, it's like it's going up and down, you keep freezing. And I just keep frozen.
Sorry guys. Anyway, whatever his name is, he's fun. This movie was one in the am I still freezing?
No, you're good now.
Freezing.
No.
Okay. This is a movie at the beginning of the pandemic, almost a year ago. There were a few movies that were already in theaters, and then when everything shut down, got pulled from theaters and were released on, I want to say I had gotten this on, I forget where I ended up renting this, but this was part of, whatever those movies were, they were charging premium prices for you to watch them. They were charging like $20 for you to rent it for a few days, which my family did, because it's, well, this is one that I actually did really want to see, and we would have seen it in theaters. So yeah, and that's the only time that this whole year that I had actually paid that. Yeah, so we watched it, really enjoyed it. This is directed by a woman. Her name is Autumn de Wilde, and she's done a lot of music videos. So as you'd imagine, visually, this movie is pretty stunning and colorful, and I could already guarantee you, Samir, that you will like this more than the late 90s Emma. But for those who don't know the plot of Emma, In 1800s England, a well-meaning but selfish young woman meddles in the love lives of her friends. Yeah, so she's playing matchmaker. This is the matchmaker film, which they also do in Clueless, where she's trying to set up her friends.
But not realizing that she needs to like fix herself more than anything.
Exactly. Now, what is this actor's name? I hate when it says like first build only. It's like, okay, but
Oh,
can
so
you
you
put
can't
like
see who the other people are?
like apparently he was added later to the film, guys.
Which one? The one on the left or the right?
Right. See, even now, I don't. Okay, the character's Mr. Knightley. I'm just trying to get. I don't know. I've seen him before. He's a good.
I'm like, hold on, let me look.
Yeah,
Let's see if
but
I can find it.
you don't have to pay $20 to see this. It is available on HBO Max. If you don't have HBO Max, you might have to rent it else. It is included, as are films that at the time were $20, like The Invisible Man. I know that was another one that they were like,
yeah,
we had to pull it from theaters, and now you can rent it for $20. And I did wait for that one, and eventually I watched that one on HBO Max. But I'm really looking forward to watching this again. I remember really liking it. Of course, she is just delightful in it. I mean, of course, look at her.
She's delightful. It's kind of odd that they have her outfit coordinated with the title on this poster, and that they have a period after her name.
This were really fun. There was like a whole series of them like introducing each one of the characters. It'd be like whoever this guy's name was, like, what's his name is Mr. Knightley. And Anya is Emma's. Yeah, so if you look at, they had a pretty cute ad campaign, and this is supposed to be just like a backdrop for portraits.
I'm like, this poster even looks kind of like a Stephen Meisel photograph, like a fashion, or like you said that she did music for the director did music videos. So you can kind of see that in this, videos, yeah. the kind of flat space and like the painting behind them, and like there's interesting like image and contrast in it. And like, it is since you've seen it, is this poster and this type of image, is it somehow indicative of the look of the film, or is it just a really cool ad campaign?
I think it's a cool ad campaign. I mean, I just remember this being a very visually see here, Andre's stamp of approval. I saw in theaters right before the pandemic, and was so worth. I worked on the marketing for this, and it was very fun and communicates the.
Oh, look at we got an insider in our midst. We're gonna
Crystal, are you talking about?
To see if he knows dirt on anything we're talking about.
Are you talking about Bridgerton?
That
Crystal?
show on Netflix.
Yes, if you enjoy Bridgerton, which is like R-rated Jane Austen, then you will enjoy this PG version. Minus Regé Jean Page being naked. Andres is saying it's $5 to rent. Yeah, and again, if you have HBO Max, or try a trial of it. I know HBO is the more expensive. I think it's the most expensive streaming service, although Netflix did recently. A lot of really good stuff, like really good movies, and especially this year, they're going to be putting. Spoiler alert. You see, there's a lot of sex in some of the later episodes, Crystal.
All right, that's going to give me motivation to stick with it.
Oh, yes, it's fun. I binge watched it in like 2 days. Lost my train of thought there. But what was I talking about?
We were talking about
HBO Max. There a lot of new movies are going to be released on HBO Max this year, because theaters are still, we don't know. We want theaters to open back up, but we don't know because people are stupid. Maybe starting today, things will start to get better. Maybe working in the right direction.
Definitely.
Yes,
we're walking in the right direction now.
Watch Emma, available on HBO Max. Super fun, super cute. Just loved it. Join us tomorrow as we discuss Emma. after the movie. And then we were doing part 3 of 4 of our true crime documentaries that we were doing on all the Thursdays this month. It's going to be another whiplash going from Emma to tomorrow's documentary, which is Into the Abyss by Werner Herzog. It's a heavy one. It's a murder one for those who are into murder. But it's good. It's an incredible story and documentary, and yeah. So if you like true crime, join us tomorrow. And yeah, but major whiplash, and then whiplash again, and we end with
for the
really fun on Saturday. Yeah.
transfer from Wednesday to Thursday.
Yes, but then back to Friday, ending with something fun with Hook. But yes, we are doing Into the Abyss. Yes, it is so good. Very, very good. All right, guys, thank you for joining us today. Hope you have a fabulous day. Wish peace and love to everyone today on this wonderful, wonderful day for the country. And just top it off with Emma, fun British comedy.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh, and support our Patreon. Wait, let me put her.
Oh, you almost forgot.
We need money. If you like us, give us money on Patreon.
Patreon.com/the book club for movies. You can find us on YouTube now as well. If you want to watch
you can cancel at any time, you can upgrade at any time, you can downgrade at any time. Yeah, but check us out. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for your comments. And we'll see you tomorrow, same time.